over, and then once the racetrack is quiet later this evening, then by all means do your five-a-side, but if you could just resist from doing that for the moment, that would be very much appreciated. Minis are next. It's the final race of the weekend for the Sevens and the Miglias. Welcome to all that have joined online as well, because thank you again to all involved with the DTM production crew over from Germany to look after DTM principally and W Series, but the fact that the cameras are still in place, it means that we can bring you the Mini Sevens and the Mini Miglia race, their second event of the day. Niven Burge not even getting away, I notice, hand up on the grid. He was due to start, is due to start at the moment from the outside of the second row, but he needs to ensure he gets off the grid before the rest of the grid leaves their positions, and I don't think Niven Burge is going to do this. So if indeed he can start the race, it will now be from the back of the field and possibly from the pit lane, but otherwise everybody else has got away okay onto the green flag lap. But thank you, as I say, I was making the point that the DTM production crew have made this race available on the Mini 7 website, and if you're at home or elsewhere enjoying this, not at Brands Hatch, welcome on board. You've missed a cracking weekend here at DTM, and Niven Burge is now going to make those places back up again in a hope to get to 4th position. But are you with sufficient breath, Mark?
It's all been a bit hectic. I was well aware of the time pressures and the stream. The stream is supported by Mini Spares as well, who have provided invaluable support to this championship over the years. And yeah, the live stream, if you are watching via the live stream, couldn't be done without Mini Spares, so we thank them for their support. So,
indeed.
Yeah, I've just about got some breath left, Johnny. It's been a busy day.
Indeed. Do you want me to look after the grid?
You look after the grid. I'll get my breath back.
And you can then detail how the championship looks after the latest race of the weekend. These races not originally planned to be on the bill at DTM. They were due to be elsewhere, but a track being resurfaced, and therefore, was it Zandvoort they were due to go to Silverstone, and a section of Silverstone, or indeed all of Silverstone, was being resurfaced at the MG Live event. So that meant that those races, these rounds 5 and 6 from earlier on in the year, have found a home on the DTM bill instead. It's a big grid. Let me start now. First row, number 1 Aaron Smith, earlier winner, alongside number 11 Kane Aston. So 1 and 11 on the front row. Next up, 23 Rupert Death, alongside him 53 Niven Burge. All being well, Niven Burge makes it back up to 4th position after the dramas on the grid. The third row, 83 Colin Peacock and 10 Mark Sims. The fourth row, 37 James Cuthbertson and 42 Paul Simmons. The fifth row, 17 Richard Jessup and number 7 Peter Harries. And on the sixth row, just the one car there, Jason Porter, number 92. Into the next class, Libra class. So row 7, 13th and 14th, 113 Phil Harvey and 500 Rob Davis. The 8th row, 2 Spencer Wanstall and 35 Jeff Smith. Keep our fingers crossed that Spencer Wanstall's car can be there, because it crashed in the earlier race, clattering the barrier out of Sheen Curve. The 9th row, 88 Kieran McDonald and 28 Dom Berger, 88 and 28. The 10th row, 46 Max Hunter and 77 Andrew Devaney, 46 and 77. The 11th row, 4 Joe Thompson and 20 Darren Thomas. On row 12, it's Ross Billison and car 49 and 94 Lee Roberts. The 13th row, number 22 Graham Andrew Davis and 39 is Glenn Woodbridge. The 14th row being 95 Julian Proctor and 27 Leon Window. The 15th row, 38 Stephen Hopper and 18 Tina Cooper. 16th row, 57 is Philip Gillibrand and 63 Dave Robinson. And then Joe Polly tags on the back of the Mini 7s in number 76 in the renumbered 76 for Joe. That's the 17th row. 18th row are all the S-Class cars as part of the Mini 7 entry. 787 on pole position, Conor O'Brien, alongside 709 Scott Kendall. 19th row, 736 Torben Astin and 742 Ben Butler. The 20th row, 711 is Damien Harrington, 720 Ben Cutler, and the 21st and final row, 796 Mark Chappell and 715 Johnny Kent.
Perfectly done, Johnny, perfectly done. In terms of the championship, well, because of the race win earlier on, Aaron Smith has stretched his lead in the championship, and even more so because Jason Porter was involved in that accident over the start-finish line as the race went green. So Jason Porter, lying second in the championship, has lost ground now, and Rupert Death, who finished in third in the races, has caught him up. In the Mini 7s, well, the gap has closed a little bit because Don Berger, lying second in the championship, finished 2 places ahead of Joe Thompson, the championship leader. So there's been an extra couple of points gained there. But this is one of those championships Championship's competed over 15 rounds. You drop your worst 4 rounds in this championship, so there's a lot of drop scores to take into account.
There are, certainly, and you can afford 1 or 2 off meetings, therefore, but you don't want them to accumulate too badly. Very often, in these double headers, if you do have a big drama in the first race, that can lead to sometimes a non-start in the second row. So the mini field looks very impressive indeed as it lines up then on the, maybe if you're here at the Brands Hatch or indeed on the live stream, the red lights are on, Mark.
They are. It's a good start made by both front row men, and it looks as though it's been a stunning start from Colin Peacock from further back down through the order. He's looking to try and hoist himself through into 3rd position, but as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend, it's Aaron Smith that leads. Kane Aston in the number 11 car slots himself through into 2nd position, ahead of Niven Burge in 3rd place, Rupert Death in 4th, and despite the good start, Colin Peacock actually didn't gain any ground. He's in 5th place, and trying to go all the way around the outside of him is Mark Sims, but the tyres give up, and he actually loses a place to James Cuthbertson in the end, so they charge their way downhill. I don't think we've had any casualties at Paddock Hill Bend or Druids for the first time. It's race 1 winner, reigning champion, current championship leader Aaron Smith that leads the way, and the early race leader in the Mini 7s looks as though it's the number 35 car of Jeff Smith.
Can't help but giggle to see cars hurled into Druid's corner on cold tyres, to see Conor O'Brien completely sideways, Mark Sims just like it as well. Losing places is not the quickest way through, but it is the most dramatic, and there are more cars going perhaps in the wrong direction at Surtees as well. However, Aaron Smith, Kane Aston and Niven Burge, nip and tuck. I hope everyone got through Surtees safely for the first time.
It certainly looks as though they have done. They are propelling themselves down the Derek Minter straight up towards the right-hander at Westfield, and it's still just about Aaron Smith that has this very slender advantage in the early stages. You can see the cars bouncing around as they go through that fast right-hander up towards Sheen Curve. Blind entry, as you were suggesting, in some of the support races before they're onto the brakes and in towards the left-hander at Stirling. Aaron Smith and Kane Aston looking to try and break away from Niven Burge, who's still there in 3rd place, but it looks as though that red number 53 car is just falling a shade further back as they reappear back into view, ready to complete lap number 1.
So breaking away very slightly the top 3. However, if the car immediately behind can bag the draft, that'll be Rupert Death. Then I'm sure there'll be 1, 2, maybe 3 for company as well. So perhaps 5 or 7 cars for the race lead in the next few laps. Aaron Smith is going to have his work cut out here to keep Kane Aston behind, though, on the run up to Druids.
No obvious signs of that second gear problem for Kane Aston as he takes the lead of the race away from Aaron Smith. Good move, queued it up coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. Signed, sealed and delivered by the time they got towards Druids Corner. Round through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, they'll work their way. The former champion under pressure from the reigning champion, Niven Burge, who's had sporadic championship outings for the last few years, but has been racing minis for a good period of time, still sitting there in 3rd place. And you were absolutely right now, the car in 4th place starting to close in, and that is double former champion Rupert Death, the silver and orange car sitting there in 4th place, and he's bringing with him the 5th place car, number 83, which is Colin Peacock.
James Cuthbertson and Mark Sims virtually side by side as they head underneath the bridge and head up Hawthorne Hill, and Kane Aston loses the lead again to Aaron Smith then, so the blue and Dayglow yellow car back to 2nd place. Rupert Death with Colin Peacock all over the back of him. Peacock with not a great race earlier on with an incident on the first lap, and he spent the rest of race 1 trying to recover those spots.
Yeah, we're just looking at Dave Harvey on the big screens, who lies 2nd in the Libra class at the moment. The race leaders are just heading up towards the braking area for Stirling. Round through the left-hander they'll go. The pink car of Aaron Smith back in the lead of the race. Another pink car in the field. Joe Polly heads down pit lane. Been a difficult couple of races for her. She had a very early pit visit, didn't she, in race number 1 earlier on. Leading pair absolutely together coming over the start-finish line. There is Joe Polly's stricken car in the pit lane, and the fight is on. Kane Aston picks up the tow from Aaron Smith. Is he going to be close enough? Is he going to try anything at Paddock Hill Bend? No, he closes the gap ever more, bumper to bumper through the right-hander.
And yeah, 3-wheeling his way through Paddock in classic Mini 7 fashion. The Miglia's the fastest of these cars then, and it's Aaron Smith and Kane Aston duking it out. Really not very far away though, Niven Burge, elbows out to keep behind Rupert Death, and Colin Peacock then is about 3 car lengths adrift of the leading quartet. I'm
just looking now at the lead battle for the Mini 7s. The white car of Jeff Smith under enormous pressure from the 46 of Max Hunter. Those two are together, fighting for 1st and 2nd in the Mini 7 class, and we've got a 3-car train actually fighting over 3rd, 4th and 5th in Mini 7s. That's Don Berger, Kieran MacDonald and Andrew Devaney. They're just all coming out of Druids as the leaders now head back down Hawthorne Hill.
what's happening in 6th position, because Sims and Cuthbertson were side by side last time we caught glimpse. Well, the 10 car of Mark Sims is now firmly established as in 6th position. I say firmly established for the next 2 corners at least, because Minis are forever chopping and changing. What about Kane Aston trying to get a good run this time on Aaron Smith, but he won't find a way through as they turn right at Westfield.
Now out of Westfield, they'll start to go down through Dingledale, then up towards Sheen Curve before they absolutely chuck the car in towards the right-hander. It's only once you've committed to the apex you actually understand whether you're going to make it or not, but perfect from all of them. Onto the brakes, through the left-hander at Stirling's. Aaron Smith still continuing to lead. Kane Aston, all importantly, still in the slipstream of the race-leading car. Now they're close. They're not close enough at this stage to be squabbling and holding each other up, because Niven Burge in 3rd position is probably more than anything at this stage trying to make sure that he stays in that potential podium spot, because he's got the double former champion Rupert Death at the wheel of the 23 right behind him as they come over the start-finish line. Yeah,
and he thought about entering Paddock Hill Bend on the wide line, but Death is ready to capitalise on that. They're going to run side by side on the run through Paddock Hill Bend. Death to the inside. Has the door been left open by Niven Burge? They're going to brake as late as they can, and Death gets it into 3rd position, but he's run out of brakes as they turn right. This will give him the outs at the inside line, rather, for Graham Hill Bend. So Death should just about concrete place their 3rd position. So Death ahead of Burge, but now Colin Peacock being sucked into that battle for 3rd, isn't he?
Absolutely. Good to see Colin having a good run in this 2nd race of the weekend. They are just now heading back onto the Grand Prix circuit, so out of Surtees they will go. This is for the lead of the race. The Miglias will pick up on what's happening with the 7s as well further down through the order, because you need to be looking down in 13th place to pick up the race leader of the Mini 7s. Down through the Hawthorne Hill they'll go before they climb uphill towards the right-hander at Hawthorne Bend. Aaron Smith from Kane Aston, the 2 of them still absolutely together. There was just a 1/10 of a second between the pair of them as they came over the start-finish line. Niven Burge was only a further, 3/4 of a second behind, and he was side by side with Rupert Death. So you could argue, as they started this lap, Johnny, the top 4 cars were separated by a second.
Yeah, very small margins indeed. Now this time, partway round lap 4, the top 2 have broken away a touch. That's because Death, Burge and Peacock are battling amongst themselves for the bottom step of the podium. Much further back down the order, by the way, in the S-Class, I can tell you it's Scott Kendall that leads the way, and it's incredibly close. Then back to Conor O'Brien in 2nd, and in 3rd position, 736 Torben Astin. So that's the S-Class. As you say, look at Jeff Smith in 13th place for the Mini 7 leaders, as the race start was slightly tidier than earlier on today. Everyone got away relatively cleanly. It was 5 abreast further back, mind you, but all through Paddock Hill Bend and Druids for the first time okay. 1 or 2 got away relatively slowly, but have picked up speed now.
Yeah, Colin Peacock probably got the best start of everybody, but actually didn't gain a place in the end, because I think he was rather cautious, understandably so, on the first lap of the race as they went round through Paddock Hill Bend. So he ultimately slotted back into his starting position. But the good thing was everybody made it, other than really Mark Sims, who went a bit too hot into towards Druids on the first lap, and the rear tyres sort of started to break away. Over the start-finish line goes the lead battle for the S-Class at the moment. Number 35, Jeff Smith, under pressure from Don Berger. Max Hunter now has slipped back to 3rd in the class, and off the back of the train now, falling ever more away, is Kieran McDonald by the look of things.
Over the line, and a switch around for the S-Class lead. So Conor O'Brien bags the lead at least for 1 more corner to Paddock Hill Bend, and that is ahead of Scott Kendall, so they have switched.
Great slow-mo on the big screens of Darren Thomas, with a bit of damage to the front left corner of that, and I think the unsettling of the car actually allowed him to lose a place, potentially to Ross Billison there. Race leaders in the meantime are just heading out of Sheen Curve, back up towards Stirling. Still Aaron Smith leading the race, still Kane Aston not that far behind, and over the course of this lap, Kane Aston has just closed the gap a little bit. He was almost 0.2 of a second quicker through the first third of the lap. They matched each other for pace through the second part of the lap, and now Kane Aston is in prime position to slipstream the race leader, the champion, the current championship leader, as they head over the start-finish line. Can he do anything about unlocking the door to grab the lead of the race away again? Not this time. Is he going to cue the move up again, though, on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend? Now, Aaron Smith wise to that. Still maintains the lead as they head in towards the braking area for Druids, now with under 11 minutes to go.
Black flag for Niven Burge, presumably because as he pulled away from the line, he was the last car to head off the line and then retook his position as 4th place. So the black flag is now being shown, I'm afraid, to Niven Burge, who runs in 4th position and right behind Rupert Death. He's already actually come into the pit lane, I assume, because the red car no longer there of Niven Burge, although did start in 4th place at the start of this lap. So has he ducked into the paddock perhaps via that route off Cooper Straight? Because 23 Rupert Death is there, 83 Colin Peacock is there, but Burge conspicuous by his absence.
Yeah, so Niven Burge disappeared somewhere. It looks as though, we'll wait and see, it may well be in the middle sector potentially. No, buzzer goes off on pit lane, and this could well be Niven Burge now. As for the Mini 7S class, that's the 2 cars, the 2 teammates, I hasten to add, just going up towards Paddock Hill Bend now. Conor O'Brien just, and I mean only just ahead of Scott Kendall, and Scott Kendall has won the Mini 7S class every single round so far this year. Could Conor O'Brien turn the tables?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's certainly worth a chance to take a first victory of the season. Jeff Smith is just about fending off everybody else in the Mini 7s, by the way. Dom Berger in 28 behind, Max Hunter in 46, also involved in that squabble in the 3-coloured car, the white, red and blue, and Andrew Devaney also in the queue in number 77.
Yeah, there on the screen, so you can see the fight that's going on for the Mini 7S class. Conor O'Brien doing great things to hold off the current S-Class Championship leader Scott Kendall, and yeah, in the pit lane is Niven Burge. The officials chatting to him to inform him of, well, his error in reality. Yeah, the rules state if everybody goes past you on the start of the formation lap, you cannot retake your grid position. If you get away before everybody's past you, you can retake your grid position. Yeah, yep. Niven maybe had forgotten about that.
Well, we're desperately trying to restart the car. As soon as he realised he'd stalled it, of course, on the green flag lap, the arm came out of the window to warn everybody else behind. Meanwhile, a very gravelly moment for one of the S-Class cars, that is, I think.
Damien Harrington, I think.
Yeah, OK. Damien Harrington in 711, good spot. It is indeed, turning right with the telltale rubber rings as well on the side of that car, showing maybe earlier contact in the race for that machine. Now, Rupert Death up to 2nd position, ahead of Kane Aston, not quite to the race lead, but from 3rd to 2nd, having got a good run on Kane, presumably, down Pilgrim's Drop and then up Hawthorne Hill. Yeah,
it was the exit of Surtees, wasn't it, that was the important part there. Now we're getting into the back markers, and this is just allowing Aaron Smith to get away, but sensible driving, I've got to say, there by Johnny Kent, who kept well and truly out of harm's way and allowed the race leaders to pass at almost unabated speed. So up towards the conclusion of another lap there will go. Again, the traffic coming into play. Tina Cooper, former champion with all of her experience, stays out of the way at the wheel of her hastily repaired car, having put that car upside down into the gravel in qualifying yesterday. So whilst Aaron Smith is getting away in the lead of the race, Kane Aston is looking to try and get back onto terms with Rupert Death, having lost the place. He's within touching distance, he's in the slipstream, but just too far away to attack on the run towards Paddock Hill Bend, at least this time through.
A second separates the top 3, though. Smith, Death, Aston, then Colin Peacock in 4th, ahead of Mark Sims and James Cuthbertson. Behind them and trying to tack onto the back is Jason Porter, who's come from the back of the Miglia class, by the way, from 11th position and is now up to 7th place, ahead of the 2 Libre entries. 500 leads that class, Rob Davis, ahead of Phil Harvey in the 113 car. Was this more problem a moment or 2 ago? Now, that was the pass for Rupert Death, round the outside at Kane Aston, then through Pilgrim's Drop, firmed up the manoeuvre round the outside of Hawthorne itself. And you need to be brave there. That's exactly what Rupert Death was able to do. And we know that Rupert Death finished in 3rd earlier on, didn't he, behind Kane Aston. Was a little aggrieved at that result. So now is ahead, and can he stay there? Can he indeed take the race lead?
We'll wait and see. Can the double former champion, Rupert Death, who claimed his championship back in 2014 and 2017, start to really mount a challenge for the lead of the race? He certainly closed up on this lap. He was quicker through the first sector than Aaron Smith. It looks as though he's quicker through the second sector, and he's bringing Kane Aston with him, so he could well have 3 for the lead of the race overall. I'm keeping an eye towards what's going on in the Mini 7 class as well. That's just exiting Druids at the moment and coming downhill in towards the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. It's still the car of Jeff Smith, the number 35 all-white car, that leads the Mini 7 category at this stage, but only just Max Hunter, Dom Berger, and even another multiple former champion, Andrew Devaney, at the wheel of the largely white and light green number 77 car is not too far away.
No, certainly right there to capitalise on any slight mistake from the three ahead. So they're 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th overall. Meanwhile, up Halewood Hill come the top three overall, or in the Miglia class certainly, and that's Smith, Death and Aston. Again, the rear right wheel this time up in the air for Kane Aston in that tightly suspension sprung Mini, and they all three working their way out onto the Cooper Straight then. This is lap 9. We managed 10 laps in the earlier affair, but there were various incidents, so we should squeeze a few more out of this 20-minute race as a result of that.
Yeah, we'll wait and see as to who's going to come out on top, because with 3 all vying for the lead of the race, certainly in the Miglia class, and 5 almost fighting for the lead of the race in the Mini 7S class. I think we get both of the main classes on the podium for this one, because we haven't got another race after this. We've got the opportunity to do that. We'll wait and see as to who's going to come out on top in each of those. So down the Derek Minter straight goes our race leader, number 1, the reigning champion, Aaron Smith, still out front, but in second place, well, just running wide there through Westfield corner was Rupert Death. Put a couple of wheels just onto the curb and slightly beyond. That unsettled the car. He lost time. He didn't lose the pace though.
No, and again having to dart from one side of the track to the other to avoid some of the S-Class cars, to avoid some of the Mini 7-Class cars as well. What this traffic is doing is ensuring that the top 3 really can't get separated. Despite Rupert Death's rallycross moment on the exit of Westfield, they're still completely together, and at the end of lap 9 they're going to be, what, 0.6 of a second, maybe just half a second separating the 3 of them.
This is what mini racing is all about. This is what minis have been serving up motor racing wise for 60 years, since the original Ali Kisigonas car was released back in 1959. And remember, the first ever Mini 7 club race was here at Brands Hatch as well. It's the spiritual home of the club. 3 together. Kane Aston looking to try and work his way through back past Rupert Death, but nothing doing. They were very much almost side by side coming out of Druids, but they're back to being nose to tail. Down at Paddock Hill Bend though, we have lost one car into the gravel. It's had a spin. Unfortunately, it's ended up inverted, and I think that might be number 500 Rob Davis. There was a bit of contact going into the corner between, I think, himself and James Cuthbertson. Cuthbertson has suffered damage, but the number 500 car hit the gravel sideways and has gone upside down. But we can see Rob Davis is moving. He's clambering out of the car. He's absolutely fine.
But we're going to go red flags, nevertheless. But that is great news to see Rob Davis clambering out of the class-leading Libra Mini, unfortunately, as well. However, the result, well, Aaron Smith thinks he's won it, because the hands have come out of the cars. They're starting to wave to the crowd. 3 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock. We are at a distance where this potentially could be called as a result, with Aaron Smith, Rupert Death and Kane Aston in that order. Rob Davis is able to take the helmet off. Frustrated to be involved in an incident such as that late on in the race. You're right, Mark, he was battling with James Cuthbertson, who lost it through the curb and through Paddock Hill Bend. Where does Rob Davis need to go? You often have to go where the car isn't at that point, and just a little bit of contact. That created a tack slapper for Rob Davis, who was off into the gravel, and these minis weigh next to nothing. So when they catch the gravel trap at the wrong angle, the right side wheels dig in, and it really didn't take too much for Rob's car to go over and onto its roof. A relatively gentle roll, hopefully not too much damage done to the car, but thankfully no damage done to Rob Davis, who is able to clamber out, and double thumbs up from Rob Davis. That's good to see on the big screens. He's a little bit out of breath, but chatting with the doctor now to make sure that everything is okay. Rear left wheel heavily buckled where it caught the gravel trap, and that heavily modified number 500 Mini that runs in the Libra class with its 1380cc engine is now righted and can be recovered. But James Cuthbertson having his own moment. Rob Davis so close behind in car 500 just didn't have the time to react, and Cuthbertson spinning, but more serious for, at the time, the class leader in the Libra division. It remains to be seen whether Rob can keep his class lead, and that will have to be hastily sorted out. It's often done on the countback, so rather than the lap that we were currently on, and indeed the lap before that, it's a couple of laps, so you're not normally sliced away from the result after a red flag. Sometimes, if you are the cause of the red flag, then you are removed from the result. So we will wait and see whether Rob can get a class victory or not. He was battling with, well, race long really, Phil Harvey in the 113 car. And as far as the winners are concerned in the other classes, Jeff Smith was ahead for most of that race, despite the best efforts of Max Hunter, despite the best efforts of Niven Burge and Andrew Devaney. Looks like Jeff Smith should be called as the race winner. And as Mark was making the point, Scott Kendall has won every single S-Class race so far. But on my screen, Conor O'Brien is in front, and the two teammates may finally have finished in the reverse order. O'Brien ahead of Scott Kendall, but we will wait to see how that one is called as well, as cars are now working their way down the pit lane. If you are heading for the exit gate, we hope you've enjoyed your weekend here at DTM. And be assured that conversations, I'm sure, are being had even now as to when the next opportunity that DTM can visit Brands Hatch is. The new season dates are a little way away yet from being announced, but I would stay tuned to the Brands Hatch website and stay tuned to the DTM website as well for all the news regarding DTM season 2020. And another visit, fingers crossed, of the championship back to Brands Hatch. But
I'm sure it will happen. I'm so excited about it. Before everybody leaves, we need to do the traditional thing as well and hand over the microphone to David Scott of MSV, our race director, who's going to sort of do his usual end of race meeting announcement.
Yeah, it was quite a race meeting, wasn't it? No, I think it provided a very good mix of the old and the very new, and it threw a few challenges. We had a barbecue in the Lotus race, which was unfortunate for the driver, but the marshals dealt with it in the usual very efficient fashion, considering the magnitude of the fire, I think. So great thanks to the marshals for their work over the 2 days, and thank you very much. Hope everybody's enjoyed it, and have a safe journey home. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks a lot, David. Always good to hear from David Scott, who does his traditional thing of, at the end of each race meeting, thanking the marshals, which we've done a couple of times throughout the day, Johnny, but just, again, cap that one off. We simply couldn't do it without them, could we?
No, and it's always great to hear from Dave because he's a lovely bloke at the bottom line. I'm pleased that he's had an enjoyable time as well, as you say, as he says, challenging at times, but nothing that the Brands Hatch marshals have not seen before. So really just to make the point that something needs to be penciled into your diary for around about this time next year, possibly, and the DTM returning to Kent. I've certainly got my fingers crossed as far as that's concerned. But if you are a touring car fan, don't forget that we've still got to look forward to a visit from the British Touring Car Championship at the end of this season, which is over the weekend of Saturday the 12th and Sunday the 13th of October. Adult race day admission online, so therefore in advance just £28, with weekend admission £38. All the details on the back of the programme, but I really would insist that you, if you can, get to the BTCC finale 12th and 13th of October.
And do pencil DTM in your diary, because it will be back in 2020. Date to be confirmed.
Good.
It will be back here.
Excellent.
Hopefully we've behaved ourselves enough to come back. Let's crack on with the final podium, because it is we were expecting the top three in each class, but it's actually just going to be the top three overall that we will get onto the podium. Joe East is on hand from MSVR, so let's bring up onto the podium, finishing in third position. Onto the podium, if you will, please. Kane Aston finishes in third place and heads up onto the podium, where Joe East will present him with his fantastic bottle of carbon champagne. Finishing in second position, it's Rupert Death. Well done to Roop. We saw him finish third earlier on. It's second today. That's now his sixth podium of the season. It's the top step of the podium. It's a double win today and 3 for the season now for defending champion Aaron Smith. Well done to Aaron. Stretches his championship lead this weekend, as the cars will head to Cadwell Park and Castle Combe in Wiltshire for the final 4 races of the season. So we'll get the photographs done as they all stand on the top step. They are saving the champagne, and I'm not surprised, because carbon champagne is very nice stuff. Let's grab a quick word with the three of you if you can. Kane's already sitting down. You can tell how hard that race was. Another typical fantastic race. You know, you were in the mix all the way throughout and probably led more laps than anybody. Not all, though, because Kane did come past on one occasion.
definitely. Kane wasn't giving up without a fight. And I think where I tried so hard at the beginning of the race, that definitely took the life out of my tyres, and I was struggling towards the end. I was looking in the mirror and I could see them catching, and I was thinking, this race is going on forever. And then Rupert got by Kane, and it was like he was on a full charge. So pleased to have finished the racing first.
Tyres have been your Achilles heel all weekend, really.
I know, we have had some issues with those, but generally on the whole, they're pretty good. But yeah, I think I might need some new ones.
Having cancelled your holiday to come here and race this weekend, it was your girlfriend's birthday. Do you think Zoe might forgive you now? You're going back with 2 very nice bottles of champagne and 2 wins?
She's got to be pleased with that. I mean, I put on hospitality all weekend for her. Who wouldn't want a weekend away at Brands Hatch, eh?
With Aaron Smith, right. We'll leave that answer there, won't we? That can answer itself. Quick word with Rupert Death. Rupert, another busy race, but step higher on the podium.
Yeah, step higher. How long was left on the race? Because I was reeling him in. I was thinking, I'm going to have him here.
I think they're about 3 minutes and 12 or something.
I might have got another couple of laps. So, yeah, a bit shame it red flag, but there you go. But, yeah, very pleased with that. And, yeah, massive thanks to all our team and my support. And we move on to Cadwell.
With the problems that Jason Porter had in race number 1, you'll have closed the gap on him. You'll still be third in the championship, I think, before we do the maths, but you've closed the gap.
Excellent. Yeah, no, you know, points make prizes, so ticking away. Yeah, fair play to Aaron. He did well this weekend.
And grab a quick word with Kane, if we can, who ultimately came through and finished in third position. It was a busy race, though, because at one point you were first, then you were second, and you take the checkered flag, or the red flag as it was in the end, third.
Yeah, so we're back to gearbox problems. So I lost second gear again. And nothing to do with the driver. No, that's right. Yeah, just disappointing, really. I mean, it's been a great weekend. It's nice to be back on the podium, back at the front with these guys. It was a clean race. When I knew I had second gear problems, I let Rupert go past, and I was having to do the second gears in third, and there was no way I could, if I got out in front, it was going to end in disaster, I think. So, great race, though. All good fun.
Looking forward to Cadwell Park and Castle Combe as we wrap up the season?
Yeah, if I turn up. Yeah, cool. Of course I will, yeah.
You'll do. No, I thought you would do. Well done, gentlemen. Our final podium of the DTM weekend here at Brands Hatch. Kane Aston finishing third place. Rupert Death was second, but it was a double win this weekend at his local circuit. Aaron Smith. That's all. Johnny Palmer from the Mini Miglia Podium.
Thank you, Mark, for your work on that particular podium, and indeed all of them throughout the weekend of DTM. Sterling work in the pit lane as well, with the step count significantly increased, I'm sure, from yesterday after so much happening today. Don't forget then, season's certainly not over here at Brands Hatch. So much more still to come. Festival Italia on the 18th of August, Sunday the 18th of August. We're just a week away from that, aren't we? So that's next Sunday, with everything Italian that you can think of, particularly the vehicles that will be in attendance. Think Ferrari, think Alfa, think Maserati, and there's lots of opportunity as well to see some cars on display as well. The festivalitalia.com website has far more detail on that event. If you fancy another quick visit back to Brands Hatch, brandshatch.msv.com for all the latest calendar dates as well. The VSCC are here on Saturday the 24th of August, and it is the CSCC Classic Car Championship towards the end of August over the weekend of the bank holiday. So Sunday the 25th, Monday the 26th of August. And as I say, big date for your diary towards the end of the year, the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, Saturday the 12th, Sunday the 13th of October on the Grand Prix circuit. So the same version of the Brands Hatch venue that we've been using all this week as well. As I say, brandshatch.msv.com for further information on that. Thank you to Peter Reichart, Richie, who's been helping us throughout the course of the weekend on the various streams and on the PA commentary, to Mark Werrell as well, and to Dave Scott, who we've just heard from Johnny Palmer. Really hope you've enjoyed your weekend at Brands. A safe journey home, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.